Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Genevieve Belfour. I'm the Executive Director of Sag Harbor Cinema. Welcome everyone to our Rosenberg Workspace and to our projections event this afternoon. I'd like to just say, if you're not familiar with our projections event, this is something we try to do 4 times a year with other nonprofits out here in the East End. We want to partner with them to help amplify their voices and their mission, while we also introduce them to the cinema's audiences. So thank you to Kim Nichols and to Jamie Berger for helping me put this together, and Megan, of course, and I'll get to that in a minute. But if you like these events that we're doing, and if you like to attend the cinema, please consider supporting us through our spring appeal, which is going on right now, and obviously, please support ARP as well, and they have a wonderful merch table here. I just want to be able to say this is a really great turnout, and I hope you can think about coming back to the cinema for a couple more projections events later this year. I also want to thank Dorothy Frankel, who has kindly given support for this event. As well as Harbor Pets, who are providing some treats for your pets downstairs. Feel free to take one. So let's get started. In addition to thanking Kim and Jamie, I also want to thank my colleagues here at the cinema, Julie Bliss, our development director, and Megan McGinley, who is our new education director. Megan's here, and she's helped really put everything together, and I can't thank her enough. And she's here to introduce our moderator and get things started today. So thank you, everyone. And Megan.
Thank you, Genevieve. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on this gorgeous Sunday. My name is Megan McGinley, as Genevieve mentioned, and I'm the Director of Education here at Sag Harbor Cinema. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome you all here for this projections program featuring the Animal Rescue Fund of the Hamptons, also known as ARP. The cinema designed the projection series as a community outreach platform for regional nonprofit organizations, one that centers education and connection. Through the projections platform, we hope to amplify voices, begin conversations, and cultivate community. I'd like to reiterate our thanks to Dorothy Frankel for sponsoring the projection series for ARF. Also, Harbor Pets for donating yummy cat and dog sample treats. Thank you again. And to the staff of ARF and Sag Harbor Cinema for helping put together this incredible event. Now I'd like to introduce our esteemed moderator, April Hornick. Thank you for joining us today. April is a community activist, artist, and organizer working with the Sag Harbor Partnership, and was campaign chair for the restoration of the Sag Harbor Cinema, and remains a steadfast supporter of the cinema today. She is co-founder with Eric Fischel of the church in Sag Harbor, and has raised funds for local and national causes, and believes in the power of culture to unite and move a community forward. Thank you, April. I'll hand the mic to you.
Thank you, Megan, very much. Thank you all for being here. I'm so thrilled to be doing this, even though everybody that really knows me knows I'm a bit of a cat person. But I've pretty much watched every one of Sailor Milan's shows, and I am fascinated by dogs, absolutely, and all animals, really. And I'm thrilled that we're doing this because we have people here from ARF who are so exceptional in their knowledge, understanding, and compassion of dogs in particular, but also people, because of course we all know that I know this from season 1. It depends on a person's ability to change, and you train with the trainer to really be a successful pet guardian. I don't like the word owner. Anyway, we have as wonderful, wonderful people here today. As I said, I'm going to start with the gentleman on my left, Carl Glab. He's the Director of Training Programs at the William P. Rayner Training Center at ARF Hamptons. And I would like to welcome Kathy Rayner here because her largesse and her husband, William, has been so instrumental in so many ways in this community. Thank you, Kathy. I hope you'll excuse the digression. Carl has been working in the world of dog training for more than 15 years. His journey began with his own rescue dog while working with one of New York City's most respected dog trainers, Kate Perry. That experience is what triggered his involvement with ARF. Now he applies all of his experience to helping people and dogs build lasting relationships through positive training, cooperation, and understanding. Thank you, Carl, for being here. To his left is Veronica Rubanska, and Veronica's journey in dog training has been enriched by her life in Seoul, Shanghai, and Poland. She has 10 years of experience, and her approach is rigorously driven by respect and understanding for each dog that she works with, focusing not just on commands, but by guiding owners toward a fulfilling life with their companion. She specializes in a range of training areas, from man trailing to addressing complex behavior in shelter dogs. I'm sure that's a huge challenge. Veronica's 2 master's degrees have equipped her with analytical tools that allow her to approach each case with deep understanding and precision. As a certified professional dog trainer, she is currently the head trainer at SouthamptonDog.com and serves as a consultant in our local shelters. Veronica lives in Southampton, New York. And to her left is Amy Kurtz, who is a certified professional dog trainer also. Knowledge assessed is the full title. Amy found her passion as a dog trainer after careers in publishing, law, and social services. That seems like a good mix. She studied at the Fetch Find Academy for Dog Training in Chicago and volunteered at the Chicago Animal Care and Control. Since she moved to the East End, Amy has focused on growing her private dog training business, Get Your Leash On. Amy lives in North Sea with her 10-year-old Springer Spaniel, Dash. And yes, Dash is the dog who turned her into a dog trainer. Amy enjoys working at the wonderful new William P. Rayner Training Center. And finally, at the end of the row is Cindy Leroy. Since childhood, Cindy has had a love of animals, rescuing strays and reuniting lost animals with their families. We all know how important that is. Cindy has been at ARF since 2017. She started as an animal care associate and quickly found her passion with animal behavior. Cindy is a certified professional dog trainer also, and is also certified by Catch Canine Trainers Academy. Cindy feels most dogs can be helped with positive, reinforced training and love. So welcome to you all. We're going to begin the presentation today with Veronica, who is going to talk about the dog myths that are in your program. And Veronica, I'll just let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Ethel. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming and showing up here this afternoon. I hope we will be able to debunk some myths today about dogs. I could see some of you were already going through the presentation, but I hope to clarify some of the slides. So this is the first out of the series of Bark the Question. We will be doing more of those on different topics. But let's start just with popular myths. As you can tell, I'm not from around here with my thick accent. So these myths are all over the world. But when I moved here to US almost 5 years ago, I got shocked because some of them are very, very, very in your mind. You're still talking about them and you're still telling them to other people. So I wanted to take this opportunity and just maybe tell you why some of these things are not anymore valid, or we're not really doing things like we used to do many, many years ago. So let's start with something very easy and some of you might know that. When you look at the first page, the first myth is that dogs are colorblind. Lots of people think that dogs cannot see colors. That's not true. If you look at the pictures on the first page, you can see a picture of how we perceive the world and how our dogs see it. So it's not super colorful, but there's still colors. And that explains why most of the dog toys are yellow and blue. And if you present those dog toys to your dog, they will choose toys with those colors. Okay, so next time when you go to the pet hardware store in Sag Harbor, please choose the yellow and blue colors of the toys, because that will make your dog happy. Yeah. So the next one, which I have a huge problem with, especially after COVID. During COVID, we stopped shaking hands. We stopped doing it, and now we start doing it again. But the dogs that you got throughout COVID, they're absolutely not used to it. So, reaching a hand to a dog can be very aversive, and dogs might be very scared of it, especially when you try to reach over their head. Dogs do not like to be pet on the head. That's also a popular misbelief, okay? They like on their shoulder, under the chin. Petting on the head is kind of a little bit annoying. It can be annoying to them. So when you meet a new dog, there's lots of people say, oh, let it sniff your hand, right? But that reaching towards an unknown dog, a strange dog, can be very too forward. And I've seen many people coming for training because they got bit by a dog, or their dog bit someone when they were reaching to say hi. So again, I call it the magic hand. It's when I'm walking with one of my dogs down the street, there's often people stopping and they just do either the magic fist or the magic hand, and they just go like this. So dogs' scent and smell is so much better than ours, right? The dog could smell you from a few blocks away. That's why we have search and rescue dogs. That's why we train them to sniff bombs out, to sniff people that got lost in the woods or something like that. So they have 300 million olfactory receptors in their noses. So you bringing your head to their nose will not change anything. It might just agitate them or aggravate them and end up with a bite. So from now on, just let the dog sniff you. Okay? If they want to, they might come to your leg and sniff you. But this is not an invitation to pet. Okay, remember, strange dogs that are not yours, they don't want every stranger on the street to pet them, right? Especially when they come up for information. They come to sniff and see, where were you today? What did you eat for dinner? Do you have any pets at home? Do you have a nice, fluffy female at home that dog could be friends with? That's why they want to sniff you, not so you can pet them. Okay? Okay. Another easy one, dogs eat grass when sick. There's so many reasons that dogs eat grass, and being sick, having a sick stomach might still be one of them, but first of all, grass tastes good. Maybe it's wet from the rain and they're just, eating it. Some dogs do it to calm down. If you like this series of seminars, we're preparing one more, next one with Carl, about communication. And dogs sometimes get stressed around us. We are very busy people, and then dogs just want to do nothing most of the time. So eating a grass when you're stressed and you have to go somewhere, and let's go, Fluffy, let's go. the dog might start eating grass just because they want to calm you down, or themselves. No, really, absolutely. I'm gonna just do this instead, and you calm down, breathe, human, and then we can go forward, okay? So to calm them down or to calm us down, they can be just bored. You know, if you let your dog in the yard and there's no toys or nothing else there, and you just assume they will play in the backyard, they probably will start biting sticks or eating grass. So there's many different reasons for that. It can be a habit. It can be a habitualized behavior. That means that they did it over and over again, and now they see a grass. Okay, I'm going to eat it. You know, I'm going to chew on it. So it's not always when they're sick. Next one. This one I like very much. All dogs can't learn new tricks, but I'm pretty sure as animal lovers you already know that this is absolutely not true. Ladies with Dakota, right? We have, last month we had, or 2 months ago, we had a German Shepherd that is how old? 10 years? 11 almost, okay. And we just taught Dakota to come on a whistle. So now he can be off leash on the beach or in a dog park, and the ladies just whistle when the dog comes. And he's 11 years old. He just learned that. So you can teach any dog any behavior at any age. Okay. So now it's getting serious. This is the whole point of that meeting. Okay. The wolf thing. You probably heard trainers saying that dogs should not be sleeping in a bed, they should not be eating first, or they should not go through the door first. Who've heard that before? Some people, yes, okay. There are trainers that will say you have to be an alpha. Be an alpha for your dog, because only when you're an alpha, the dog will listen to you. Did you hear that too? Some of you, yes? Okay. There's also all the bad behaviors that dogs do, jumping, growling, if the dog doesn't listen, or is just misbehaving, just normally misbehaving. A popular belief is that the dog is trying to be an alpha, right? Why is the dog jumping at you or biting your head? He wants to be an alpha. And so I'm gonna now tell you that this is not true. Why? In 30s and 40s, long time ago, there was a research done on captive wolves that were unrelated to each other. And those wolves were fighting between themselves. They were fighting to assert who, there was a lot of drama and fighting, and they were asserting who is an alpha or this and that. And in 60s, David Meek, he is a scientist. David Meek took those ideas of, research done in the 30s on captive wolves, and he wrote a book about the wolf. And he was the first one who used the word alpha. He said alpha wolf this, alpha wolf that. And trainers, and then he said that in those packs of wolves, there are alpha males and females that have constant aggression, and they will, keep everyone in check with that aggression. The dog training world really liked this idea because, dogs came from wolves, but it's really like saying that humans came from apes. No one treats us like apes, right? So why do we treat dogs as wolves? It's not the same. So anyways, trainers decided in 80s, 90s, they decided, okay, if we want to train an animal, if we want to train a dog, we need to be an alpha like wolves were. Humans need to dominate their pets to make them behave. That was the popular belief. But sometime later, the same guy, David Meek, had a chance to research the same thing in natural surroundings. So he went, to nature, and he was able to see wolves in nature. And what did he learn? Oh, how wrong they all were. There is no packs of wolves. There are families of wolves. And an alpha wolf does not exist because the only dominance is achieved by breeding. So an alpha wolf, female alpha wolf, is going to be a mother wolf. And an alpha male, it's going to be a father wolf. And then they have their offsprings. And they don't have to fight. And they don't have to assert their dominance. They're just a family of wolves. Okay? So he decided, oh, I forgot one thing. So he took that first thing and he wrote a book about wolves and being an alpha. That book sold so far in 100,000 copies, or 100,000 copies, and is being sold until now. That book was published in 1970. When Dr. Meek realized he was wrong, he really tried to take this off the shelves. But he tried even a couple of years ago, but it's still in printing, and it's still being popularized, and it's still being sold. So he was trying himself to undo what he did, but he failed. So it's now up to us to tell people and teach people and talk to our kids and grandchildren. There's no such thing as alpha wolf, okay? The wolves don't have to fight. There's no hierarchy. And 54 years later, we still have to deal with that alpha thing, right? So what I always tell people when they come for training, be a leader, but be a leader that your dog will like to be around. Not the one that your dog will be fearful of, not the one that your dog will be scared of. The boss or a leader that gives clear guidance and clear rules, but will not pin you to the ground, will not put his hand in your bowl while you're eating, will not show you all that nonsense, right? So that's one thing. And just another thing, very much simpler than that. Have you ever heard of any species that wants to dominate over other species rather than human? Right? Right? Have you ever heard of a giraffe that wants to dominate an elephant? So why did we come up with an idea that every dog wants to dominate humans? Why? Okay, I'm just gonna leave you with that. Okay. Tire them out. Tire them down. Out. Tire them out. Tire them out. Sorry, that's my English. Tire them out. Okay, that's another one. Yes, dogs have needs. They need to run. They need to, have exercise and all of that. But I've heard many times that people say a tired dog is a well-behaved dog. A tired dog is a good dog. Ladies, when you're tired, are you nice? Right. Maybe I should ask the gentleman. Right? So you get my point. When you're tired, you're agitated. When you're tired, you just want to sleep. When you're tired, you don't want to deal with anything else, right? So why do we have this idea of, oh, guests are coming today, I'm going to take my dog for 2 hours at the beach, then to the training session, and then we're going to play fetch for another hour in the backyard. So when the guests come, my dog will sleep. No. When the guests come, your dog will be unsure and will not know what's happening and will have to stay alerted because there's strangers in the house, and he cannot, absolutely not, go to sleep at that very moment, right? So a tired dog that has enough of sleep at the same time, that has fulfilled his needs to run, to play, to all these things, but also his needs to sleep, will be a good dog? Who can tell me? People who took my class, please don't answer, but other people. Who can tell me how many hours should a dog sleep a day? Ideas? A lot.
14.
14, very close, but no. 16, yes, 16 for an adult dog. For a puppy, there's 4 puppies downstairs in the van, if anyone did not see. You could see some puppies for adoption. Puppies that young have to sleep 20 hours a day, right? So it's normal for us that men, there was a research done recently, this is actually funny. Men, humans, men have to sleep 7-8 hours a day to be relaxed and healthy. Women have to sleep 8-9 hours a day because we have more stress in life. So no, that's true. That is true. So now the dog is much smaller than humans, right? And it's basically a 3-year-old in the body of a dog that needs to sleep much more because they have to deal with cars and people and this and that, and everything is new, everything smells new. So let's just let them sleep. Okay? And when you adopt a dog, the dog should sleep for 3 days non-stop. And because the stressful event of being adopted and changing the location from shelter to home, new people, new this, new that, that's a lot. So 3 days of full sleep. Don't be surprised when you bring your new dog home and they just want to sleep. Don't overdo it. Okay. Tug of war creates aggression. Well, you will have to take my class to learn that tug of war is an amazing way of bonding with your dog, but it does not create aggression. There's maybe 1% of dogs that I would not play tug of war with, and these are dogs that already have behavioral issues. Other dogs need to tug of war, and if you look at the other page, we'll just quickly, there's this predatory sequence for dogs. I want to quickly explain about that. So if your dog was in the wild, they would have to chase the bunny, right? They would have to eat. So they would sniff the bunny, then they will see the bunny, and they're still very calm and they're waiting for the bunny. They're just slowly approaching, slowly. They're not wasting their energy because in a second that bunny will start running and your dog will have to chase them, right? So now the bunny runs, the dog chases. The cortisol levels in the brain go up very high because chase is very stressful. Will I grab it? Will I not grab it? Will I be able to eat today? I don't know. They get to the bunny, they grab the bunny, and now they kill it. Unfortunately, it's a part of nature, right? They kill the bunny, and by killing it and dissecting it into pieces, that cortisol level goes down. Ooh, that was hard. Oof, I did it. That was great. So now they can eat that bunny, right? So they consume and chew and bite, and the cortisol levels go down and down and down. And now we have a relaxed dog, not the bunny, relaxed dog. Now we have a relaxed dog that does not have to hunt for another 3 days because he's full. What do we do with our dogs when we play fetch with them? Chase the bunny, chase the bunny, chase the bunny, chase the bunny. And your dog wants to get the ball, go on the side to kill that bunny. But we're like, only 3 times? Oh, Fluffy, stop it. Let's play 30 more minutes. Chase the bunny, chase the bunny, chase the bunny. Every time it chases the bunny, the cortisol level goes up, right? And then you take the ball away, and that's the end of the game, and your dog is like this. I want more, I want more, I want more. And it's not a relaxed dog, right? So my point is to satisfy your dog and to make them actually tired, you want to play in that whole circle. Get the ball on its string, make it run around, make your dog chase it. Tag with your dog, pretend you're killing the bunny together. Give some treats in the end of the play. And that will be a dog that after 10 minutes of playing like that, they will be very relaxed and satisfied. Because this is something that they were made for. They were made for, some of them, especially terriers, they were made for killing little animals, right? So how can we tell the dog you're not allowed to kill anything, you're not allowed to kill even a rope or something, right? We should be doing this with the dog and implementing some rules. So I'm not saying playing fetch is terrible, but playing fetch smart way. Okay, so when you play fetch with your dogs, just remember about all these things that we just talked about, right? Don't create fixation, don't create that addiction. I have to chase this bunny. I don't know why, but I have to. I've been doing this for 3 years, right? So have you ever met a dog that will just bring you a ball immediately when you enter someone's house and they just throw it? That's, unfortunately, that's addiction. That's addiction. Right, so just playing in a little bit different way, but we will have a seminar about play too. So maybe you can come to that too. Yes, so teaching dogs to relax is the hardest thing, but also most beneficial for them. So if you teach your dog, your puppy to relax, you can always exercise with them. You can always make them tired. You can always run with them. What is difficult is to teach them to rest. Okay? The next one, pit bulls. If you look at all these 3 pictures of adorable pit bulls, they're all for adoption, and they're very sweet. And pit bull is not a breed. It's common misconception. I feel like pit bull terrier is just, and if you come to a shelter, you will see they all look different. It's just a mutt. I like to call it a mutt of USA. Right? In Europe, we don't have that many pit bulls, and they have to be bred to look specifically like that. But if you look at all these 3 sweet dogs, they have a little bit of pit bull in them, and a little bit of that mix of things. But what I want to say the most, they're not aggressive. Any aggression comes from humans and the way we breed dogs and the way we nature them. My neighbor got 2 German Shepherds from a terrible breeder, and one of those shepherds I convinced her to rehome the shepherd. It was too much, 2 dogs, too much for her. So we rehomed one actually to our supporter, who also took our classes, and this dog is the sweetest, the most lovable, huge German Shepherd, loves people, loves dogs, loves everyone. The other one stayed in my neighborhood and did not have that much luck. You know, the owner is done, or the caretaker is not really taking care of the dog properly and helping him to navigate in this difficult world. And that dog, unfortunately, already at 1 year old has a traits of aggression. So to me, it's an amazing, 2 dogs from the same litter, just the way they were brought up. It's completely different. So, and it makes difference. So again, any pit bull, I grew up with pit bulls, and all my colleagues can vouch that they're great, great dogs. I also heard that they have locking jaws. Have you heard that? Locking jaw? That's a myth. There's no such thing as a locking jaw. If you look at all these 3 skulls of dogs, one is retriever, one is poodle, and one is pit bull. But if you look closely, there's no special mechanism in them. There's nothing different about them. They all look the same. And there's no such thing as a locking jaw. It's just the pit bull's determination. And again, that's humans who make those dogs like that. We make them so they're determined enough to go after something or grab to something and not let go. And it's just that determination that makes them not let go, not the locking jaw. Okay? Almost done. Okay, if you look at those pictures, I've heard many times that, the dog is, when we're sitting with my husband on the couch, the dog comes in between us. He's so jealous. Oh, he just peed on the chair because I left to work and I left him alone. He peed on my chair. He did it out of spite. And I closed him in the bathroom because, I don't know, someone came to the house. He ripped up the door. He's punishing me for all those things. And we have this big, long words and on the top of the slide, anthropomorphization. That means comparing animals to humans. Dogs don't think like that. They're not jealous, they don't do things out of spite, and they're not punishing you. If any of those behaviors or difficult behaviors appear, just seek help of a trainer or behaviorist. It's just a symptom of some kind of problem or behavior that is happening down there beneath anything else. So yeah, unfortunately, if the dog goes in between you and your husband on the couch, they're just trying to split. That means it's a dog behavior. It's just what dogs do. You're too close. Hugging is not what dogs do. Dogs do not hug. So if humans hug, they think, whoop, something's wrong. They're gonna fight. Uh-oh, I need to go in between them, and that's why they do it. Not because they're jealous. Okay? So again, they're not humans, they don't think like humans, and anything is just a sign of behavioral issues or their communication to us. And last but not least, the one that hurts me the most, I think, even more than the alpha dog, is that positive training is about snacks. I've heard it so many times. Oh, you're a positive trainer, it's just snack-based, it's just treat-based. If I don't have treats, my dog will not listen to me. Now, positive training is absolutely not about snacks and bribing. Positive does not mean good. Positive means added. We're adding something, right? So we can add a play, a toy, a nice word, a snack, yes, but we can add, oh, if you behave, if you sit for me, I'm going to let you loose and you're going to have all the freedom you want. So there's lots of rewards, and each dog likes different things, and in each moment they like different things, you know? So positive, there can be something like positive punishment. It's still positive, it's punishment. You're going to put the prong collar, you're going to put the shock collar on the dog, you're going to fit the dog with newspaper on the snout. That's still positive, but just punishment, right? Because positive means added. It's not, when people think positive, they think good, but every trainer knows that positive means to add something, okay? Negative is to take something away. So it's a little bit complicated, but just remember that reward does not have to be a snack. Anything can be a reward. Really depends on the dog and what they like, and we can use it in our advantage to train them. And we don't have to be dominant, we don't have to assert anything, we don't have to punish them. We can absolutely just reward them for a lot of things. And yes, one more. Dogs that are not food motivated could not be trained. Also false. I've had so many clients and dog parents who came with their dogs, especially little dogs. They don't like to eat, right? They're little, pretty dogs. They're just like, I'll eat later. Mommy will add some chicken to it, maybe, or maybe not, right? So they're not food motivated. Does it mean that they cannot be trained? No. We can do absolutely many different things that we can train the dog. So if you have one of those, please come to our center for training. We can train them regardless of food motivation. And that's it. I did good with the time?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. On the last page, there is a QR code that later you can check out all the classes and all the programs that we have, but I'm pretty sure Carl will tell you more about it. Thank you so much.
Well, that was completely mind-blowing, especially the fetch versus tug of war. Played behavior. I have all these friends I have to run and tell because I have many friends who have dogs who bring a ball to you the minute you walk in. So that was most elucidating.
We have to, thank you so much, we have to remember there are dogs that were made for that. Retrievers, for example, right? Retrievers will enjoy bringing the ball and they have less chances of getting addicted because it's just their job. That's what they were made for. But, terriers that need to hunt, they want to kill something. They want to bring that ball, but they want to shred it into pieces or, shake it a little bit. So again, with dogs, we have to take into consideration what they were bred for. Right?
One of my questions was going to have been about whether different breeds are more or less difficult to train. And if I'm worried already about the 1-year-old dog who is now in your friend's care, who has serious problems, do you think that there are dogs, well, this is a two-part question now, suddenly I didn't mean for that to happen, but do you think that there are dogs who literally can't be made calm because they've been so abused? I hate to even ask it, but...
Thank you so much for this question. So I will start with that I have 2 rescue dogs at home, and one of them is a Frenchie. And I've heard many people tell me, oh, French bulldogs are so stubborn, you cannot teach them anything. I taught my dog everything, and he's very well behaved, and he is amazing, and he listens, and so I feel like first of all, there's no breed or no type of a dog that cannot be trained. When they've been abused, it's a different type of training, okay? Right now, the training based on science is not really about performing sit, stay, and calm. It's more about the welfare of a dog. So if someone comes with a fearful dog, I'm absolutely not gonna recommend teaching some commands just for the sake of that, but for confidence building or for showing them that the world can be nice and people can be nice. So it's more about behavior and psychology than actual training.
It's more about exposing them to compassion and showing them that they're in a safe environment so that they can calm down.
I'd like to give Cindy an opportunity to address this because she experiences this in the shelter and she has experience with dogs who have been abused and the extent of the abuse in relation to the ability to bring the dog back to an acceptable household dog.
I think a lot of it has to do with letting the dog calm down from what it's gone through, and it's a time factor. A lot of them, it takes a while for the chemicals that they've produced from abuse and neglect to go out of their system and for them to feel comfortable. As long as they're afraid, they're not going to be able to learn. Once they feel safe and they start to trust again, then they have the ability to learn. They don't have that ability to learn while they're in that state. So we have to let them calm down and feel at home, feel safe. And then we see what can be done.
And have you, in your experience, ever had a dog that was just so terribly damaged or abused that there was no help for it, or?
Most of the dogs there are help for. It's just it's finding the right tools, the time to do it, and the right people. That has a lot to do with it. Is finding the right adopters, finding people who are willing to put in the time and have the patience, because it takes a while. Some dogs are so abused, if they're that aggressive and if they're unsafe, then we have to deal with it in other ways. Maybe they need some sort of medication or something like that. But we've had a lot of success with dogs that you wouldn't think were ever going to come back.
That's so brilliant. And I have to ask one question, if I may, about jealousy, because I understand that what you're saying about assuming or projecting that a dog is jealous and that's why they're acting in a certain or acting out in a certain way. But I would imagine dogs seem to have a full range of emotions, like we do. I would imagine that if there were two dogs in a household and one felt that the other was getting more attention, they might feel jealous of that. Is that something that you think is true, or is that just a myth also?
I think there's a very thin line between, what we humans think of jealousy, what it is, because when we say, I sometimes use the word jealous, but it's what it really is, it's a resource guarding. So resource can be anything from food to toys, but it can be also an owner or a couch. So that dog is practically it's jealous about the owner giving attention to another dog, but really when we look into science and biology and all of that is psychology, it's that dog guarding a resource that he has, and it's a natural behavior for any animal. That this is mine and we're in competition for that. But I guess, to simplify it, you can say it's jealousy.
Jealousy is a human term, it's a human emotion. It kind of looks the same, but it's a little different. Jealousy might come from not having enough confidence in a person. But with the dog, it's not really that. It's exactly what Veronica said, it's a more resource issue.
Well, that actually is probably where it comes from in all of us. I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, I need to apply this at home. Seriously, and even the emphasis on causing an environment that's not an alpha ruled environment, which sounds wonderful and a great correction, but to create a calming environment where there can be a sense of equanimity that won't feel threatening, and then you won't have to do that guarding behavior of whatever. And yeah, I think I need dog training. Shall we open it up to questions? Or Carl or Amy, would you like to say anything about the presentation just now?
The one thing I'd like to add is there are many forms of positive reinforcement, just as Veronica mentioned. It does not have to be treats. You don't have to give your dog a treat every time your dog does something that you like. You can give your dog affection. You can give your dog a toy. You can give your dog opportunity to play. However, I would say that another myth in my way I look at things is, well, my dog isn't food motivated. What I've heard from some trainers is you just haven't found the right food. Every dog is food motivated. It's just like saying, well, my kid, and again, I'm not anthropomorphizing, but sometimes it is useful to use human examples. Some dogs might think their treats are like spinach, and they don't like spinach. So you go and find something else. It is true. We call Carl, I'm not going to say what we call Carl. Don't do it. Don't do it, okay. But there are values of treats. Kibble is like cereal. Chicken is like a really yummy cookie or a piece of cake. So a lot of times we have people who come to class with really so basic, very so-so treats. And we have to kind of up the ante. It's not worth it for the dog. They're like, I'm not going to do that for you if I'm just going to silver little muffin.
I mean, it's really up to the dog what they think. I had dogs that trained on dry bread. I had a dog that trained on an egg because he loved an egg. So it's in our mind. No, you have to find what your dog likes, not what you think your dog will like.
And it's a motivation. It's not a bribe. It's not like, it's what's going to motivate the dog to learn. It's not, you're not bribing him, you're not bullying him. It's the proper motivation for the dog. So to Amy's point, because I always have chicken. So I'm not going to go with I'm the chicken guy. I will be the motivator. I have the proper motivation to motivate the dog. So it's about that. It's really not about anything else. And I agree with Amy that, you can always you can put things in human terms because it helps the owners, or the companions, work with their animals. And putting it in terms that we understand helps people understand how the dog is perceiving something. So if I asked you to go jump off that balcony for a quarter, you're probably not going to. But if I asked you to jump onto the next adjoining roof, there's $1,000 out there, you probably might consider doing that. So that is the proper motivation. So it's the same thing as what Amy's saying about putting it into human terms. We're not anthropomorphizing it. We're just helping people understand what is motivating the dogs.
But I guess it could be seen as a fine line too. I mean, you want to use your human empathy to project into the needs of these beings that you live with, but you don't want to presume that they are the same as yours, right? So can you make a food chart maybe of like what likely foods dogs think of as cookies versus spinach? I mean, would that be helpful for people, I wonder? Or
It all depends on what the dog's like. I mean, we could say that, every dog's like chicken. Some dogs are allergic to chicken, but honestly, and some dogs don't like, it's really about finding out what motivates your dog. What is the thing that really gets your dog excited?
I completely agree with Carl. I'll also say there are standards, some standards that you could theoretically put into, and I'm really interested in this. What's a high value treat? What's a medium value treat? What's a low value treat? There are some standards, but it's just like with everything else. There are standards, but you need to individualize it. So that's how that would work.
And then there's new, like the old treat you've always been getting, if you introduce something new, obviously that can oftentimes have a more thrilling aspect.
If you're trying to motivate the dog to learn something new, you have to use something that is of high value. You don't want to use something that they have every day. Because it's new, it's exciting, it gets them motivated. You want to use something new when you do something new.
Shall I take the questions?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and open up the floor to questions. I have a couple here. If you have any note cards that you would like to pass for the panelists, just raise your hand. I'll come and collect them.
Some of this was covered. This first question, I think, in talking already. But do you trainers have dogs? Do you have training challenges with them? Do you all have dogs? I guess that's a fair question. And any training challenges that you'd like to anecdotally just share with us?
Does everybody know the expression, to steal your expression, that the cobbler's children have no shoes? Yeah. The trainers' dogs don't have any shoes. Or as much shoes as we would like them to have. But we do all this.
It's hard because we know what's possible. We know, I don't know about expectations. We know what's possible. We know that there are expectations, and yet we love our dogs, and they don't always meet the expectation. They don't meet the expectation of a perfect dog, all right? They all have their strengths and their weaknesses. Some people have challenges with aggression or fear. I don't have that challenge. I have the challenge that my dog gets into literally everything. And this is a whole other topic, but there's a whole thing of management versus training. I can't have my garbage pail in the middle of the floor, all right? It's just not realistic. I've had people say, can't you train your dog not to go into the garbage? I'm like, well, probably not, and I'd rather make it impossible for him to get to the garbage. It's easier, but it works.
So wait, why in the middle of the floor does that make a difference?
Because that's what I thought of. I didn't mean the middle of the floor. I meant I don't even have my garbage on the floor. Okay? Or some people have the drawers that pull out. It's like you would child-proof a cabinet with meds in it. I child-proof cabinets with garbage, where the garbage is.
Cindy, do you want to?
I have to agree with Amy when it comes to management. Management is the first thing we do. When going to talking to other people about training their dogs, management is the first on the list, and absolutely. I adopted a puppy not that long ago, and I've told people for years now to go get calms, and now I've lived it, and I have a lot of calms, and it's helped a lot. I always kind of feel sorry for my dog because people will be like, oh, you're the trainer's dog, and I'll ask him to do everything. And he's like looking at him like, I don't know what you're talking about. Mostly because of time issues, because as long as he's well behaved and he's not getting into anything, I'm happy. You know, we don't have a lot of time as trainers. There's a great need. We could have a whole line of trainers here and we'd all still be working because there's such a need. And so a lot of, I think, my issue is time with my dog. And as long as my dog's well behaved and not getting into anything, I don't put a lot of training pressure on him.
That's so much better. And then if you could train your dog to say, I don't roll over on command. You're all so extraordinary. Can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of training? And this is a question that I want to ask, but it's also on this card. What kind of training do you offer to the public? Obviously, there's the myth class, and there are probably aggressive dog classes, but what exactly kind of training is offered by ARF, and are you all in charge of different areas?
Yeah. So we offer everything from puppy kindergarten all the way through advanced training. So for all stages of the dog's life and all levels of ability and all ages. We offer socialization classes, which is not what most people think. It's not an indoor dog park. It's actually some off-leash play, but it's also then how to properly exist with other people and other dogs. We offer more advanced classes like recreational agility and some different specialized things like scent work. So we offer a full range of classes to the public. It's not just for ARF adopters. It is for anyone who would like to register for a class.
And I assume these are all listed on the website. So.
Yeah, everything is on our website. You can use the barcode on the back to get to the website. And the classes run monthly for 4 weeks. We have some specialty workshops coming up this next month. We have a workshop exclusively on how to walk with your dog on a loose leash, so your dog is not dragging you across the street.
There's still spots available.
And there are still spots available. Yes, thank you. Perfect. So yeah, we offer a full range of everything from basic puppies all the way through advanced trainings.
Here's a question that I think somebody should answer. I think this must be hard, but how can you stop a dog from being aggressive when people come to your house?
That's a great question. There's lots of different ways of a dog being aggressive. There's different types of aggression. So we cannot really answer this question without seeing a dog, because aggression can be fear-based or excitement-based, or there's so many different deep problems that we would have to first see to address the aggression. But I think Cindy will agree that probably management will be the first thing we will say, and just don't let your dog be aggressive by the door. That will be the first thing. Just don't let them meet the guests. Don't let them be aggressive by the door. And call us and we can see what we can do for you and see why the dog is aggressive. That's the most trainers this time, we're different from the trainers 50 or 30 years ago, because we want to know why this behavior happens. We don't want to just fix it or change it. We want to know why, because without knowing why it's happening, it's impossible to change it. You're just suppressing the behavior, and suppressing is just creating a ticking bomb. Because the trainer can come and hit your dog or put some kind of very aversive things on your dog and tell him, you are not allowed to do it. And the dog will listen and will not do it, but that's suppressing. And then years later, the ticking bomb explodes. So we need to address why.
There's also a concept, and I don't know, I tend to get rather technical in the dog jargon, but there's a concept called desensitization, counter conditioning and desensitization. It's getting a dog, it's taking a negative association away from somebody coming to the dog and turning it into a positive association. So it takes prep, but it takes time and it takes practice. And it takes somebody willing, it takes a visitor who's willing to experience. We're not gonna let the dog jump and bite the person, but you have a friend who's willing to come and knock on your door, and the dog's gonna bark, but you're gonna work with your dog until at some point the dog has a more modified reaction.
I did also want to just add on to that for what you were saying about the suppression and the ticking time bomb. You know, we only do positive reinforcement at ARC across the board, and for that very reason. We know, and it's based in science, that cooperative training, positive training with these dogs is the way to do it. People, us, all of us, want a quick fix. We all want a quick fix. And that's why aversive techniques, show collars, shock collars, prong collars, all of these things are quick fixes, but they aren't actually helping the dog to feel better, and it's not providing understanding of why that behavior exists. All we're doing is making a new association that every time somebody comes to your house, you are going to feel pain. And what we need to do now, and Cindy lives it daily, we're all kind of working it at the same time. We now have to counter condition the dog to change their perception of bad to good. Person, pain, bad. Person, good, reward. It's complete counter conditioning. So that's how we get to this place. But I wanted to just clarify that because it's a great point of we're just, with a quick fix, we're just suppressing this thing for the dog. And that's why a lot of, and then look, if we're all human, we all want, what we want, but.
It's kind of stunning.
Yeah.
Like, they're stunned. Like, they feel pain and they stop because they're stunned. But it eventually goes away. And the other thing that can happen is that the dogs get desensitized to the pain. So the pain level has to keep going up and up. And when a dog is very excited, they don't care about pain. There's enough adrenaline going on that it counters the pain. So eventually it stops working anyway.
And it's cumulative. And Cindy and I have talked about this a couple times. And look, I'm not saying that like something like an electric fence is bad. All I'm saying is that Cindy and I have seen examples of like, if you're slowly experiencing discomfort over a long period of time, it will have an effect. So if you are, every time you see someone walking down the street or a squirrel or another dog or something like that, and you're discomfort, it will cumulatively create an effect. So, and we've seen it and having to treat it a lot.
Yeah. And going back to the scenario of somebody coming in the house. Now, if the dog is protecting or doing whatever the dog is doing and being aggressive, and the person's screaming at the dog, now they're making that association also. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to, what the dog thinks he's supposed to, and he's getting corrected for it. So a person comes in and I'm getting corrected, so that person must be bad. That person must not be good for me. dogs make associations, like, I don't think people understand how clearly they make associations, they
And-
really do.
And the emotions, how
Yeah.
quickly they read those emotions. They don't understand English. They don't know the words we're saying, but I guarantee you, they know how you feel. I guarantee you that if you're yelling at that dog and there's a person there at the door, they know that something is bad.
Same thing with other dogs walking down the street.
Mhm.
You know, if you, no, you know, then it's like, oh, I'm looking at that dog and you're saying no, the dog must be bad.
Would this also apply to the next question actually that I received is how to break a fixation? Would that be also germane to that, I would imagine?
Yeah, it's redirecting and creating distance. The way we can break an association, dogs have a distance thing. So if a dog is fixated on another dog, I immediately walk backwards and create distance until I can get the dog back. The dog is either cognitive or reactive. I want the dog cognitive. I want the dog back to thinking, because the dog reactive can't really learn. But once that dog is cognitive, I can ask him to do or her to do something, and I'm bringing them back. And then I see the distance, and I start working with the dog at that distance where I can get them back.
That's a great delineation because I think that in the moment, both the owner and the misbehaving quote unquote animal probably are both being reactive, and for the human to like bring it back to like, oh, this has to go cognitive instead, that's a challenge. But I guess if they can be trained, we can be as well.
It's all,
I have a
dog training is 100% training people and their dogs.
Yeah.
It's 100% of us
Yeah.
learning and unlearning and learning how the dog perceives
And
things.
training people to read their dogs,
Yeah.
to listen to their dogs.
Okay, so this is like cosmically in order because the next question says, what's a common problem you see when people are learning to train their dog? And I would think that you just kind of answered it.
May I?
Victoria.
Expectations. Please lower your expectations. That's the most, to me at least, I don't know about you ladies and Carl, but like people have huge expectations about their dogs, and letting them realize that, you know, a dog is really a 3-year-old, like mentally, dogs are on the same level as a 3-year-old child. You're not going to expect all these things from a child. Why are you expecting it from a different species? Why are you expecting so much from this little dog that is so lost? So I think this, because anything else, you know, communication, reading dogs by people, you can all teach that. But expectations is something that each person has to work alone on their own.
That's really such a great point because if I see one more person dancing in a ring with their dog and then doing complicated jumps and things, it's like, I mean, you do start thinking, well, they're so damn smart. It should only take one pointed question toward them, like, why do you keep doing that? And then they'll stop it. Obviously, that's not how it works at all. And I thought it was a great point that you made that you don't want necessarily, I think Cindy, you said this, you don't want like a perfect dog. It's not important to have like the perfect or the equally achieving, pseudo child.
Right.
Well, what's a perfect dog? I don't know.
No,
What's a perfect person? I don't
No,
know.
I'm just saying, I'm just riffing on
Yeah, no, of course.
all of the, the
Yeah,
pleasure. I look at all of the reels of dogs doing amazing things to relax, like we all do in times of stress and boredom. And it can just sort of color I would think it would color people's anticipation sometimes of how quickly these very intelligent creatures can learn.
April, I just wanted to add that, I wanted to add that I look at those videos too of the dancing dogs. Do you know how much time, energy, and work those people put in? That does not happen overnight.
It kind of looks like their whole lives, which
Thank
maybe is
you.
not healthy for either.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and I just also wanted to add one of the things in response to your question, timing. Timing, people need to work on I need to work on my timing. Dogs make associations really fast. So people need to be in tune with their dog. They need to see their dog's reaction, and they need to be ready to either pull them back or praise them, or what. They need to be ready to respond.
And that would go back to the cognitive versus reactive.
Exactly.
I would think a lot.
And that is one of the most satisfying things about training people and their dogs is when people get excited. Like people who spend their lives training those animals to do that, they're excited by it. When you have someone in class and the first time they get their dog to actually do something after they've been trying, they're so excited. It's like, well, that's great. And so is the dog. You're excited and the dog is excited.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing better than that. It's just, it's mutual excitement. It's the best part of doing it. You just turn them on, and they're like, oh, okay, so we can do something else. It's like, yeah, go do fun things with your dog.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As opposed to some grueling training routine that turns into, what was that poor child that was a beauty queen that was abused? And that's,
Jean Benet.
thank you, John Benet Ramsey. It's like, you don't want people, I mean, I do wonders occasionally seeing things like that about dogs being treated like that.
We recently went to an event in Pennsylvania, and there were a bunch of trainers there, doing an adoption event, and the trainers there were using shock collars and inside. And one of the things that we saw was this man had his dog on a pedestal, and he would press the shock collar and the dog would go like this, he'd press it again and the dog would go like this. And they were all standing around thinking how great it was that the dog. For what?
That and the thing that makes Tennessee Walkers high stuff and AK-47s. Ban them now. Why are they banned? I don't understand why we allow these things in our so-called civilization. It's just horrific. Sorry, I should go back to the questions. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand what one of these words is. What's his name? My dog is perfect, but sometimes he does not like another dog and will act out of character. How do I correct?
I'm not gonna call out that person, but just to think that person that wrote that, do you like every single human being? So, okay, you answered that question. Why does your dog have to like every single dog?
The other thing I'd add, if you have more to say, Veronica, obviously go ahead, but I have this saying, it's distance is your friend. If you see your dog beginning to, and also I'm really I emphasize, watch your dog. When you're walking your dog, don't talk on your phone unless it's an emergency. Don't listen to an audio book. Walk with your dog. Notice what's around you. And if you notice that your dog is giving you signs that your dog's uncomfortable, get some distance.
Can you read the last part of that question?
Yeah, of course. Dog is perfect. Sometimes he does not like another dog and will act out of character. How do I correct?
Okay, so you don't need to correct, but understand that there's something that's making your dog do that. So what I would do is notice the distance, and at that point, give your dog a treat. Give your dog some reinforcement so that the dog starts making that association. Every time you see another dog and you're at that distance, give your dog a treat. Eventually, maybe pass by that dog very quickly. You don't have to stop. The dogs don't have to interact. And then maybe come back in. When we introduce dogs in the classes for socialization, we go really quickly at first. We just walk by. We have something called the 3-second rule. And when they finally get to the point of sniffing each other, and we're talking reactive dogs, we just let them sniff for 3 seconds. I don't care if the dog seems to love the other dog, wants to play with the other dog, walk away. Then come back again, 3 seconds. And it's very incremental because dogs give different signals and it's hard to read every single signal. Eventually, the dog will become desensitized, and it happens quicker than you would think. So I would say don't correct, because you don't want that dog thinking that the other dog, that there's something wrong with that other dog. You, if anything, reinforce.
It redirects.
Redirect, yeah.
Still, again, like two dogs have a right not to like each other still, you know? They might not. So I think correcting or changing the way they behave it's one way. But again, like, please understand, they don't have to meet, they don't have to be friends, they don't have to be in one room even, like, they don't.
We just have time for one more question, so I'm doing these in order. If there's one I skipped, I apologize. But the last one will have to be: during training a newly adopted dog, does there need to be one human in the household that trains him or her, or does the dog associate its learning to the human or the treat?
Go ahead.
So we have something in training called proofing, and basically what that is after we, make some ground training a dog, then we want somebody else to do it, because we want the dog to actually know the different cues and to make choices, not based on the person doing asking. So it's good for one person at first, until the dog starts understanding, then you want to spread out.
And when you spread out, make sure everybody's doing the same thing. That's a really important thing in households. Treat, right. Everybody needs to give the same signals, use the same words, consistency.
Yes.
That makes sense. Well, I just want to thank you all immensely. This was so enlightening.